everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel. I declare the meeting open at 9:30 a.m. and I acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters, and community. This meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the DAP Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of the DAP Regulations. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information for them. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce the members that will be participating today. My name is Dale Page. I'll be your presiding member today. To the left with me in the room, I have Eugene Coltaz, Deputy Presiding Member. I have Luigi D'Alessandro, Specialist Member, and we have Councillor Dawn Jex. Online with us, we have Councillor Mark Jones. Welcome to you all. Item 2, apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Lorna Buchan from the City of Rockingham. Item 3, noting of minutes. Minutes of all previous DAP members are available on the DAP website. Moving then on to Part B, City of Rockingham. Item 1, declaration of due consideration. Panel members need to have considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and the Part B related information. Could I please confirm by a show of hands that members have considered all information? Thank you. Item 2, disclosures of interest. Could I check with our local government members whether this application has been before you at a council briefing or a meeting?
No, it hasn't.
No. Excellent, thank you. Are there any other disclosures of interest that any member would like to make at this point? No, excellent, thank you. Moving then on to item 3, our Form 1 DAP application today. Lot 9001, number 7, McNichol Street, Rockingham, proposed 167 multiple dwellings, DAP number 25/02923. We have one presenter on this item today, Tim Dawkins from Urbis, speaking in support of the proposal. Tim, do you want to come forward?
Just going to be joined by Daniel as well.
Sure, not a problem.
And Kylie, the architect online as well.
Not a problem. And Tim and Daniel, you are both across the fact that in accordance with our standing orders, your presentation is limited to 3 minutes. So if you get close to time, I'll let you know.
Yes, thank you very much.
Time starts when you're ready.
Thank you, presiding member, and thank you, councillors, members, and DAP Secretariat assistants. The order today is really just to talk about the project, the process we've gone through this project. We're really happy with the way the application's been communicated in the RAR. We don't have any issues with any of the conditions, so we're just really here to answer any questions you may have. But we'll just say a few brief things about the process that we've been through. Daniel and his team at Blue Rock have been project managing this for a year and a half. And we've had a lot of meetings in Rockingham, so it's been a lot of trips up and down the Kwinana Freeway to look at the site, all the way down to go to the depot and talk to the waste people and talking about how trucks are going to get in and out of the site. 167 dwellings is not insignificant, and I haven't checked, but I guess this is probably the biggest residential development that's been done in Rockingham. Don't know, but it's in terms of multiple dwellings, not in terms of freehold lots. So it's a significant development. It's only 4 stories. It fits neatly within the townscape. It fits neatly within the current planning framework and the soon, very, very soon to be adopted city plan. And that's been a continuum we've been developing along the way. So the activity centre plan has been in development for a long period of time, and we've been addressing that through the process. It's less than 2 years until American soldiers start turning up here. So we do have a housing problem in WA and Australia, but more generally, we also need more dwellings in Rockingham. So this is part of that. It's also a different type of construction. This is a development, and it's probably not clear in the renders because it looks like a nicely built dwelling, but it is actually a different type of dwelling. It's going to be made out of lightweight and innovative design, and Daniel can tell you a lot about that if you have any questions. But we were really pleased. The team from Rockingham came up and visited their Midland project, which is being built also on development WA land, in the same sort of construction methodology. So Tristan and his team all came up and had a look at the site, which was really great. That site's topping out at the moment and is producing 51 dwellings in the middle of Midland. And that is a really tricky site that stood vacant for a long time. This is a similar site, and it's really the innovation in construction that's enabling this project to be able to occur. As I said, we've had number of meetings, lots of design review panels, and been very collaborative along the way. So the design has changed. It's sat on the site in a particular way because of the feedback from the DRP, the feedback in terms of actually being able to get the natural light to all the dwellings and all the ARCODE's requirements. So we really are really proud of this development. We're really pleased, and hopefully, as of this afternoon, we can move to the next phase of development and get it into the construction phase. So with that, if you have any questions for myself, Daniel, or Kylie online, I'm happy to discuss.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I might actually start with our member online. Councillor Jones, do you have any questions of the applicantee?
Yeah, no, first of all, I just want to thank you for the application. And yeah, it's great to see innovative construction to bring the price down to achieve multiple dwellings. Yeah, it's a very challenging economics at the moment to do that, so well done. My only question was regarding the traffic in regard to the bigger picture, like people and construction using McNichol Street. Was that, I've gone through the documents, so I couldn't see anything that looks a bit wider afield. The traffic impact is, down near where the traffic lights are, McNichol, where there's a licensing centre, it's quite congested. And there's actually some on-road vehicle parking bays. So I was just wondering if that was looked at all, or do you have any traffic people?
We don't have the traffic people here today, but obviously we've prepared a traffic impact statement. This site is allocated R80. We're developing it to the density that's been designed for a long time and allocated to it. So that as part of the activity plan has been all designed through, and then we did an individual assessment for this particular site. I guess there's also, I should have mentioned the deputation. We have had the approval for the townhouses, which came before this panel about 6 months ago. So those were also part of it, but it was part of a holistic design that considered traffic and waste in all in one. But there's no failure in the system, and it's just accommodating the intended density and then therefore traffic on the site. In terms of construction management, there is a bit, and there was only 10 submissions, which is actually really pleasing for a development this scale. There was, and of them, not all of them were objections either, but a lot of them were talking about traffic and construction. And, construction is one of those things, no pain, no gain. Yes, it will be a construction site for a period of time, but after that, it'll be a fantastic development. But there is a big site, as is noted in the RAR, and the construction management plan is able to accommodate all the vehicles on site for parking throughout that. There are also 14 additional on-street car parking bays going to be provided along the street.
Right, yeah. I'm happy. So I might address that to the city officers. I guess the other one is, do you agree with all the conditions, like the public art, things like that, acoustic work? So
Yep. No, we're really happy with them all. And that's I guess a credit to having done one DA already and having been through that list, and then having a second set of conditions, I guess, which is really stage 2 of development. So we have no issues with any of the conditions.
Very good. All right, that's all from me. Thank you very much, and thank you, presiding member.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Jex, any questions from you?
No, nothing. I think it's all been covered.
Great. Any questions from any other member in the room?
Thank you.
No?
Just a question on the car stackers.
Yes.
How many stackers higher do they go? Or just
It's one level. One. So it accommodates an additional car over the space, so doubling the allowance of that space. One of the main reasons that was done is this site is on contaminated land, so we can't do a basement, and we also had to meet our parking requirements. That's a requirement. Being a build-to-rent project, we have certain car parking requirements, but also the likely occupants. I can't say who they are, but it's no surprise given the location of the project, who's going to be residing in these. They have certain and very, very stringent parking requirements. So in order to meet that without digging a basement, it would have rendered the project almost impossible. Given the contamination, car stackers was the likely and best option.
And also, just on that as well, so I'll just jump in. Each car stacker is allocated to an apartment, so they're not shared between dwellings either.
That was my next question before.
Yeah.
And you did, that was also part of the site visit. So the guys from Rockingham are interested in terms of how stacking worked, and they've been delivered in the Midland.
All of our projects, yeah.
Okay, right, thank you.
Anything else? No? All right, thank you for that. We might get the local government officers to come forward now. We have, I believe, Mike Ross, Linz Bergsma and Tristan Fernandez with us today from the City of Rockingham. Pull up your chair. Councillor Jones, do you have any questions of the city officers?
But just following on from that previous one about traffic and possible congestion around McNichol Street near the traffic lights and the licensing centre, was that looked at as part of this application, or is that a separate thing I should follow up? Because there's a lot of on-street parking on one side at the moment.
Yeah, so there was a comprehensive traffic impact assessment that was submitted by the applicant that went through our traffic engineers. So it demonstrated that the actual traffic flows, the locations of the traffic flows in relation to the surrounding street network, and it demonstrated that it would be compliant. So from our independent viewpoint, we don't consider there's any obviously there'll be additional traffic attributed to the development, but it's within the design capacity of the surrounding road network to absorb that. There is going to be a reliance in relation to on-street parking for visitors for the development. With respect to the actual construction side of it, we don't have a construction management plan at this stage. It's a 1.2 hectare site, 167 multiple dwellings is a substantial development, in addition to the 33 group dwellings. So we will need a comprehensive construction management plan that will ensure that there is no adverse impact on the surrounding road network during construction. There will be additional noise impacts, but they will need to be managed during the construction hours, predominantly during daytime. So that will also be something that we discuss with our traffic engineers to make sure they're satisfied with safe and secure traffic access in and out of the site. But as yet, we do not have a plan, but it is a requirement for the condition.
As a condition, yeah, I see that. Thank you for that. And conditions 8 and 9 just relate to acoustic. Is that just in regard to like air conditioners and things? Is that where they're located? But is there anything else that's looking at making noise or?
It's predominantly air conditioning and mechanical plant and equipment. And once that's there is a detailed design on that, that's when the unit can actually be determined in order to then fit it to demonstrate that it complies. So it's often a difficult thing to predict exactly how mechanical plant and equipment will work. There's an indication that it will work based on the assessment taken, but it needs to be demonstrated once it's been designed and fitted and then tested.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you very much. And yeah, good job on all the liaison and assessment. I'm sure it's been a while and hopefully it'll be constructed soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jex, any questions?
Look, I think it's all been covered very well, so thank you.
Any other questions? No. I have a few questions about a few conditions, if you don't mind. So just on condition 8 that Councillor Jones referenced now, relating to submission of an acoustic report, it references noise emanating from licensed premises. What does that relate to? Is that a standard condition that just contains that, or is there something else that?
Slipped in the tab.
Yeah, sorry, I don't believe that should be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a problem, we can sort that
apologies
out.
for that one.
No,
So if
no
that
need
can
to
be removed.
apologise, we'll sort that out.
Yeah.
Condition 10 relates to the effects of outdoor lighting, and I believe adherence to this Australian standard includes the potential for performance solutions. So given that, would you be happy for us to include wording in that condition that compliance with the standard needs to be to your satisfaction to eliminate the potential that there's any disagreement about a performance-based solution?
Thank you, Presiding Member. That sounds good. And we're not anticipating there'll be floodlighting issues, but it would be good to see that change. Yeah.
All right. Condition 12 relates to the asset protection zone. It includes a dot point that requires grass to be managed to maintain a height of 100 metres or less. And I'm assuming that that should either be
millimetres.
Millimetres. We
Thank
will
you.
sort that out as
Yep.
well, not a problem. Condition 13 relates to car parking design and provision on site. Now, point 2 under this condition requires the parking to be installed prior to applying for a building permit. And I assume that is not the intent. Also, there is some duplication between the point 2 and point 4 under that condition. Would you be comfortable with an amendment to require all those actions to be completed prior to occupancy, and then for point 4 to be deleted, and then just so that you consider that the condition would then read, prior to occupancy, the car park must, 1, provide 167 car parking spaces on site. 2, be designed, constructed, sealed, curbed, drained, illuminated and marked in accordance with the rest of that subpoint. 3, provide 4 car parking spaces, and let that read as per the rest of that point. And then for a closing statement, the above requirements need to be complied with for the duration of the development.
Appreciate the change on that. The only caveat would be that I think the intent behind condition 2 of 3 was that at the time of building permit that we actually see a car park that is compliant with the Australian standards. I think it got mixed up with all the other words that are put in there to do with construction, sealed, curbed and drained. But we would like to see the building permit plans come in a manner that's compliant with the Australian standards.
Okay. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't issue the permit though, would you? So is that even necessary?
We would, the only way that we could capture the compliance with the Australian standards is up front with the design. The issue is that if the building permit plans aren't compliant with the Australian standards, and the plans are approved through the building permit process and not checked, then it becomes incumbent on the applicant to modify the car park to make it compliant. So that would be the reason. I think the words have got lost in translation. But if there's a way of reconciling that, would be.
So I wonder then, given that you're saying you want, as per point 2, that in the recommendation, that the design needs to be in accordance with that standard prior to applying for a building permit, should we be deleting the words constructed, sealed, curbed, drained and marked from point 2?
I would actually suggest the opposite, deleting prior to applying for a building permit and putting that on as a footnote to indicate that the car park design must be, as per condition 13, must be reflected in accordance with the Australian standards at the time of applying for a building permit. So we could virtually leave the condition as is.
Yep.
And just apply a footnote that links to that condition that ties in the design being compliant at the building permit stage.
I'm just mindful that from the applicant's point of view, and it's unlikely there'd ever be an issue, but from the applicant's point of view, this condition says that it needs to be constructed, sealed and drained before applying for a building permit.
I understand.
We prefer your wording.
All right, leave that with us, and we can debate that during our discussion on the item. I think that is all I had for you. Are there any other questions of the city officers? No? All right, okay. We might then move to the report, so we can have a conversation about the conditions and the merits of the application. I will seek a mover and seconder for the recommendation in the report. Does anyone wish to move the recommendation? Councillor Jex, does anyone wish to second? Councillor Jones. Councillor Jex as mover, would you like to speak?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. So this 167 multiple dwellings is alongside or behind a recently approved group dwelling site. As to the the planning matters that are relevant, just a couple of comments. So it's discretionary. It's in a residential subzone of our strategic centre zone. Just a couple of comments around the state planning policies. Bushfire, so is designated as a bushfire-prone area on the eastern side of the development. So that's been noted, and the bushfire management plan has been submitted as part of the development application and has been found to address the relevant requirements and it's in the conditions of development approval. State Planning Policy 7, design of built environment is effectively compliant. And as to due regard documents of the cities, one of the main ones, the Rockingham Strategic Centre Precinct Structure Plan, So the heights and the interfaces aren't compliant, and I know that it's a contaminated site, and of course, but those part of the condition there, we've got the ongoing site management plan is required to take account of the contaminated soil at the deeper levels of the site, which won't be disturbed during this development, and therefore the ongoing site management plan will help serve to future-proof the site in the event that it's developed again another stage. And that's all the comments I've got for now. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Jones, as seconded, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, just add a few more words. Thanks, Councillor Jex. Just to acknowledge really as well that I guess the frontage onto Mark's Place, you know, it says it's 3-storey, but we've got 4, but I think they've addressed fairly well with the way the massing, and also acknowledging, yeah, the 2-storey townhouses approved next door. So yeah, just acknowledge all the submissions, thank the people that made submissions, and there was even a small public meeting as well. So well done to the applicants and all those involved, the city staff. So yeah, I support the application, and yeah, certainly looking forward to being constructed and occupied. So thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Does any other member wish to speak?
Yes, I'm supportive of the proposal. It complies generally with the central city area under the MRS, the scheme number 2, and the zoning as strategic centre, and the use class multiple dwelling. It also fits in well with this Rockingham strategic central precinct structure plan. There were submissions, but the issues that are raised there have been addressed, primarily traffic issues and the bulk of scale, but the type of development that's proposed is quite an important one, and I think it'll be a landmark development for many years to come. The issues associated with the contaminated site have been well and truly addressed previously by the EPA and Department of Health, and their relevant conditions and management plans associated with that. It's been through a design review process and had comments made, and the proponents have made the relevant changes. So under the planning assessments, the design of built environment, most of the issues have been complied with. Those that haven't partially complied with have been assessed and supported for variations under the discretionary requirements. The only other issue is car parking, and it's interesting to see that the council is supportive of allowing visitor bays on the verge in the road reserve, given that the bays will be primarily used by this development. I think that that's a good outcome. And in terms of development standards, the main variation was to height, and as I said before, that's all been supported. So I'm quite supportive of the proposal. I think it's a good one.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. Without repeating everyone, I also will be supporting the submission. My view is compliant with the various planning schemes. The variations are minor and have been supported by council. It has the support of the design review panel, and I think a very good design outcome. I note the concerns that were raised during the advertising period. I think they've all been considered and addressed, and most of those were actually in the report, so I don't have a problem with that. And on that basis, I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. I too support the recommendation, but before speaking to the substantive motion, I'd like to move a series of amendments. First amendment is to condition 8, which relates to submission of an acoustic report, and I seek to delete the wording including noise emanating from licensed premises. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Thank you, Member Cortez. The reason for that is there are no licensed premises associated with this application, and the wording is therefore not relevant. Does any other member wish to speak for or against the amendment? No? Let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Then I would like to amend condition 10, which relates to the effects of outdoor lighting, to include the wording to the satisfaction of the City of Rockingham at the end of the condition. Seconded, Member Cortez, thank you. The reason being adherence to this Australian standard includes the potential for performance solutions, which could give rise to disagreement about whether the Australian standard is being met, either through clearing conditions or in future compliance action. Let's hope there is none. The amended wording makes it very clear that the City of Rockingham will determine whether the condition is being complied with. Does any other member wish to speak for or against this amendment? No? Let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And I'd like to amend point D under condition 12, which relates to the asset protection zone, to require grass to be managed to maintain a height of 100 millimetres or less instead of 100 metres. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Thank you, Member Colton. This is simply just to correct a typo and make the requirement clear. Does any other member wish to speak for or against that amendment? No? Let's put it to vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And then lastly, I'd like to amend condition 30 to delete the wording under point 2, delete the wording constructed, sealed, curved, drained and marked. Do I have a second of that? Thank you, Member Coltas. The reason being that the way that subpoint is worded now, it requires physical construction of that parking prior to applying for a building permit. Picking up on the comments made by the city, they would like that designed in accordance with the standard prior to apply for a building permit. So if we delete that wording, that allows that to be done. That is then replicated that it needs to be constructed, sealed, drained, illuminated and marked prior to occupation in point 4. So simply removing that anomaly in subpoint 2. Does any other member wish to speak for or against that amendment? No? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I'll revert to the substantive motion now. It's all happening in Rockingham. It's wonderful to see this type of development happening. The application proposes much needed accommodation with good diversity in the dwelling types. Often when we get multiple dwellings, it tends to be lean to one type of dwelling. So it's really good to see there's diversity in those apartment types. It's in a location very well suited to higher density housing, close to services and public transport, meets the objectives and requirements of the draft precinct plan and broadly consistent with the relevant provisions of the R codes. And I compliment the City of Rockingham staff for laying that out so clearly in your report. The proposal responds well to the 10 design principles in State Planning Policy 7.0. The buildings are very well designed and largely supported by the city's design review panel, and any minor issues that are outstanding from the DRP review as requiring more attention have been addressed via conditions of approval. I too acknowledge there were some concerns raised through public consultation on this application, but it's my view that these concerns have been responded to appropriately in the responsible authority report and via conditions of approval. So all in all, a very high quality proposal in line with the vision of the precinct plan for this strategic centre. With that, we've all had a chance to speak. I revert back to the mover, Councillor Jeffs, to close if you would like to. Anything further to add?
Nothing to add, but just to say thank you for the additional conditions or the change edits, which are obviously some of them oversight. So I'm happy to support.
Excellent, thank you. With that, we will now vote on the recommendation for approval, subject to those amendments that have already been agreed. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 4, Form 2 applications. There are nil today. Item 5, Section 31, SAT considerations also nil. Part D, other business, SAT applications, Supreme Court appeals. All SAT applications for the DAP are listed on our website, none of which currently relate to the City of Rockingham. So with that, I will close the meeting at 9:59 a.m. and thank everyone for attendance, the members, the staff, for attending and answering questions, and the applicant for your presentation. And to the Secretary for your support as always. Enjoy the rest of the day.
All right, thank you all. See you then.